Hello guys, my students from B1.1. This is teacher Kiara Corpus talking to you, and I want to welcome you to this session in which I will explain you the relative clauses so you can have a better idea how to develop your work and how to use the topic, right? So I would like to share the class objective that I have with this topic. We have three objectives that we want to come out of this topic. The first one, connect two sentences with the help of a relative pronoun. Express ideas in a different way with the help of a relative pronoun. Use relative pronouns in context. So these are the three objectives that we have with the topic of the relative clauses. So let us continue. So to start, what is a relative clause? We use relative clause to give additional information about something without starting another sentence. By combining sentences with a relative clause, your text becomes more fluent and you can avoid repeating certain words. You can avoid repeating certain words. In other words, we use it to identify or give information about nouns. Usually there are two sentences joined together by a relative pronoun. Do you remember what are the relative pronouns? Remember who, which, where. Those are some relative pronouns. So let us continue. How do we use a relative clause? Okay, look what you're going to do. You see two persons here talking. This is Tom. Tom and a girl is talking. So imagine that you pass by and you see Tom talking to the girl. You want to ask a friend who is the girl. So the way you could say it is, a girl is talking to Tom. Do you know the girl? That is the way you could say it. A girl is talking to Tom. Do you know the girl? Do you notice that you repeat the word girl 2 times? Well, the idea of relative clauses is not to repeat those words. That is the function of the relative clause. So it will be easier whenever we add a relative clause. You put both pieces of information in one sentence. So you need to start with the most important thing. You want to know who the girl is, so you start saying by like this. Do you know the girl? Your friend do not know which girl you're talking about, so you have to give additional information so your friend can know what you're talking about or who you're talking about. So you need to give what? Additional information. So the correct way to say it is, do you know the girl who is talking to Tom? So there we include what? The relative pronoun. Who? Why who? Because who is for people. We use it to talk about people, to give extra information about people. So the correct way, do you know the girl who is talking to Tom? That is the correct way. Notice that no, you don't repeat the word girl because you include who to replace that. That is the function of a relative clause. Not to repeat words and to what? Combine information, join sentences. So let us continue. We use who and whom for people. We use whom and whom for people. So let us look at these examples. Sarah shares a class with Russian immigrants who speak 3 languages. Sarah shares a class with Russian immigrants who speaks 3 languages. So notice that after the relative pronoun who, you're giving what? Additional information about the Russian immigrants. Another example, there's a new student in my class who also likes social studies. There's a new student in my class who also likes social studies. Another example, I met a taxi driver who spoke 4 languages. I met a taxi driver who spoke 4 languages. So notice that between there is the relative pronoun. And after we give information about the person we are talking about at the beginning of the sentence. Let us continue. When deciding whether to use who or whom to ask questions, we have to have the idea and ask ourselves these questions. For example, there's a difference between who and whom. Even though we use it for people, there are some things that you should have in mind. Are you referring to someone who is doing something? In that case, you use who whenever the person is doing something. So he's a girl who throws the ball. And when to use whom? We ask this question. Are you referring to someone who is having something done to them? In that case, we use whom. So let us look at this example. This is the girl to whom you are throwing the ball to. This is the girl whom you are throwing the ball to. Why whom? Because the person is getting something done to her or he, right? That is when we use whom, when the person is receiving the action. Okay, let us continue. Which and that, we use it for things. We use which and that for things. So let us look at these examples. We bought a house which or that is 200 years old. We bought a house which or that is 200 years old. We can use both of them or any one of them you prefer, right? I sent a letter which arrived 3 years later. I sent a letter which arrived 3 weeks later. Or I sent a letter that arrived 3 weeks later. You can use both of them because we use both of them for things. Okay, another example. Okay, we use where for places. Where for places. So let us look at this example. I want to live in a place where there is lots to do. I want to live in a place where there is lots to do. Notice that at the first part of the sentence, we're talking about the place. And after where, the relative pronoun, we give what? Additional information of what we are talking about. Another example, I grew up in a small town where everybody knew each other. I grew up in a small town where everybody knew each other. Another example, my small town turned into a big city where traffic can be chaotic. My small town turned into a big city where traffic can be chaotic. Okay. So heads up, I'm going to give you some other tips. That can be used instead of who or which in relative clauses to refer to people, animals, and things. So whenever you are using who or which, you can replace it with that. You can replace it with that, right? So let us look at the example. You know that for people, we use who, but you can replace it with that. So I met people that really miss the old times. I met people that really miss the old times. So you see, it's very easy. Just remember that we need to have these things in mind whenever we are using the relative clauses. Who or which can be replaced by that. And it makes no difference, right? So I want you to notice that the sentences in relative clauses can be broken into two separate sentences before and after the relative pronoun. The relative pronoun is the one that separates the sentences. So for example, let us look at this example. A bicycle is an eco-friendly means of transportation. It does not use any motor. This is a sentence. It's two sentences, right? But no. Whenever we include the relative pronoun, we make it one sentence, right? But it is separated by the relative pronoun because after the relative pronoun, we just simply give an additional information at the first part of the sentence. So whenever we include the relative pronoun, the sentence stays this way. A bicycle is an eco-friendly means of transportation that does not use a motor. You see how it stays? We notice that there are two sentences, but the sentence can be what? Broken into two separate sentences, right? And that is the function of the relative clauses. I hope that this material help you as you develop your workshop and as you do all of your activities. Thank you for your attention and have a great day.